Good morning. My name is Jonathan Ledden. I'm the board president of Orlando Ballet, and if you know me, you know on time means early, so we're starting a minute early. And thanks for everybody for being here. Thanks to all of our guests. Thanks to our friends from the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra. Thanks to a number of our board who are here. If you're from our board, can you please raise your hand to be recognized? So we're here today with a little bit of fanfare because I think it's fair to say that this community has been waiting for this announcement for over 2 decades. Although Krista and I joined the community relatively recently in 2014, we are students of history and we studied very hard to understand the cultural arts community, the players, the hopes and dreams of the community itself. In fact, I read Sentinel articles going as far back to 1990 about all of you, about every organization and every person, to be sure I understood how we got here, where we're going, and where we aspire to be. So we know how important these organizations are, and we know how important the Dr. Phillips Center is to the community. In fact, the Dr. Phillips Center was the first donation that Krista and I made when we first found it. Probably the easiest dollars they ever raised, and then Thomas weaseled a little more dollars out of us. But the aspiration to build the Performing Arts Center, as well as the good sense Orlando has had to use TDT dollars to build entertainment and cultural backbones, inspired us to learn more about the community. Because simply the performing arts are a critical element in the very lifeblood of a community. They feed our souls. They're the nourishment we need, especially in hard times. And they're ultimately, commercially, what are going to attract businesses and people like us, people like many of the new donors who've moved here in the last few years to the community. And in the heart of every successful performing arts city, there are 3 keystone organizations. You've heard me say it before. It's the ballet, it's the symphony, and it's the opera. And these are the keystone organizations that build an arts community and need very much the focus of the community. Yes. The acoustic, all right, yeah, we can all cheer. If there's ever been a case of preaching to the choir, it's today. And I'm not going to get any hecklers. So the acoustic hall, as it was originally known in the design, took shape over 15 years ago. It was envisioned in the original city agreement in 2007. I can cite the section and paragraph for you if you wish. It was to showcase the region's performing arts groups, including the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra, Orlando Ballet, and what is now known as Opera Orlando. I can only imagine at that time in 2005, 2007, as this took shape, the excitement in the donors that gave to this original goal. I read an article, I reviewed some articles this weekend about our own Harriet Lake was quoted as saying, "I'm in for $1 million as long as I get a parking place." So I'm claiming the park. No. But I think that really personified the excitement that everyone had about it. It's a very long article in the Sentinel. So it was really, the imagination and the hopes and dreams of this city and the cultural arts community, and those of you who have been here for many, many years, to bring the organizations together in a state-of-the-art performance home were not lost on any of us. And we know many promises were made, and today Orlando Ballet is going to deliver on one. Obviously, we've been in a world where COVID-19 has reorganized plans. Many organizations have been forced to play defense. We're proud to say that we stayed on offense. If you're on offense, to use a sporting analogy, you have to call a lot of audibles. So even getting to today, as you know by the short notice, was probably the reflection of calling a lot of audibles to make something happen. But you got to be ready when opportunity arises, especially when you're in businesses such as ours, which are performing arts or thin margin businesses. A few months ago, we were informed that the new acoustic hall, now named Steinmetz Hall after the generous gift of Marjorie Pabst and Charles Steinmetz, would indeed be ready in February for performance. Our current season had been planned, contracts had been signed, tickets were on sale, but nevertheless, we were not going to miss out on this opportunity to be one of the first performing arts organizations to move into this shining venue. So we organized, we rearranged. We have an incredible guest artistic director named Jordan Morris, and an associate artistic director named Lisa Benzant, who truly, Lisa keeps the trains running on time, is a fair way to say it. And we were able to we moved some things around, and we're proud to say that we were able to move the enduring classic Giselle from Harriet's Orlando Ballet Center to Steinmetz Hall for our February performance. But wait, I'm also pleased to say that the classic performance of Giselle, based on the classic choreography, one of the most enduring ballets of our generation, or ballet in general, will be staged by Jordan, who you already know as being a terrific storyteller from his Moulin Rouge last year, Peter Pan last year, as well as coming up The Great Gatsby, which we'll be performing in April. Tickets are on sale at the box office right over here. And so it will be terrific to see what a storyteller like Jordan, who's already built new classic ballets, will do with a great classic like Giselle. We're looking forward to it. So we'll be working with our Orlando Ballet School Director, Philip Broomhead. He can't be here today. He's judging an international competition in Mexico and out auditioning talent, so he returns to town tomorrow, so he couldn't be here. But Philip will be working with Jordan as well. Philip, an alumnus of Royal Ballet, as a principal, and a long distinguished career. So I think if the two of them can't make the greatest Giselle ever, I don't know who can, and so we're really looking forward to it. But we're not there yet. Check the box on a few things. There's still one item on our list. Well before our arrival, well before the reorganization of the now thriving Orlando Ballet, well before this board was reconstrued in 2017, it is clear that the dream of the generous donors who gave to Dr. Phillips Center wanted to see our organizations together. So when we decided to move Giselle to Steinmetz Hall, I made it my personal mission, as well as our board's personal mission, to ensure we would do so accompanied by the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra. Certainly that was the community's dream, certainly that was Harriet's dream, and so we got on with it. Here's the challenge. I've always said Orlando Ballet will perform with live music whenever possible, pending funding. The case study for this policy is really simple. It's obvious, but it's also simple. As we were talking about our history, since we're talking about history today, and I actually like to go back in the history book one more time and talk about 2015. That story was not so bright. Orlando Ballet hit some very hard times by overextending on commitments, including contracting the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra to play for a ballet. And that ballet was, you remember? Come on, Giselle. So we've come a lot. This will be a full circle in a variety of ways. And so we've come very far into the last 6 years. Orlando Ballet stands stronger today than ever before in our 48-year history. We've gone from an extreme working capital deficit in 2017 to a 7-figure working capital surplus. We are ready for a number of more announcements in the coming 12 months that we'll gather for again. And so, but we did need to find the funding for this project. And we made one call, and we had one lunch with some very special people who I was confident would understand the story. As our community expands, we are incredibly lucky that every once in a while a new family moves in who truly understands philanthropy. They understand the business, and they expect accountability, and they understand what it takes to operate a Tier 1 performing arts organization, and they understand why giving to operations, which is not so glamorous, because it's just paying the bills, paying the point shoes, paying for the toilet paper, paying for the cost, paying for the labor. Operations is the heart and soul of the organization. And so gifts to operations are sometimes fleeting because the performance comes and the performance goes. But they understand it. And they're here with us today. And I want to say hello to Laurence and Susan Costin. Or Larry and Sue, as we call them. Today I am pleased, incredibly thankful to announce that Larry and Sue Costin have increased their gift to Orlando Ballet, which was already one of the largest single operating gifts to Orlando Ballet in our history. They've increased their $100,000 gift from last year to $150,000 to fund the Orlando Ballet grand opening at Steinmetz Hall with our special guest, the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra. And so you'll be pleased to know my remarks are complete. Thank you very much. I have enjoyed every minute of getting to know you and becoming friends, and our many long due diligence sessions going over every aspect of the organization. You are truly an inspiration to me as a philanthropist and as a family, and we look forward to this great performance. And so thank you guys very much, and I'd like to introduce my friend Larry Costin.
By the way, I know, excuse me, I know all of you are CPAs and financial wizards, but if you missed a very important comment that Jonathan made, the ballet is very successful financially. I'm not a dancer, I can't play a musical instrument other than a kazoo, but I understand business. And it's one of the bases on which Jonathan and I have become friends. And I hope you didn't miss the fact that the surplus for this organization last year was 7 figures. Do you know what that means? 7 figures? That's over $1 million. That's a lot of money. $1 million. 4 years ago, this organization was in serious financial condition. So my hat's off to Jonathan and Krista and the board and the administration of the ballet for the fantastic job they've done, not only creatively in providing a product that is world class, but also doing it in a manner that enables the organization to run profitably. So, Jonathan, board, great job. Anyway, I have just a few comments this morning. First of all, it's really nice for Sue and me to be here with all of you, you supporters, you strong supporters of 2 of the organizations that are near and dear to Sue's and my hearts, and that is the fabulous Orlando Ballet and the tremendous Orlando Phil. We are blessed to have 2 such fantastic organizations in our presence in this city.
You're here.
Sue and I are relative newcomers to Central Florida and Orlando. We're Chicagoans. And much like the Leddens, Jonathan and Krista, who moved down here from Chicago as well, we followed in their footsteps, and I call Jonathan my dad. He's aged better than I have. Anyway, Chicago is a great city. I don't know how many of you have been there. It's huge. It's second only to New York in terms of the cultural arts scene. Dozens of theaters, performing arts groups, and museums, and so on and so forth. Sue and I have been a part of the Chicago art scene for decades. We've invested in that art scene, and we have supported it through our attendance at innumerable, uncountable events. So, you might ask yourselves, how the heck did the Costins end up in Orlando? Well, number one, the weather. But you know, there are many places in this country that have good weather. But there are very few places that have good weather that also have a strong cultural art scene. And Orlando is one of those few. And particularly when it comes to the performing arts, there are even fewer communities in this country that have the type of weather that we seek out in the winter. By the way, in the summers we won't be here. We have to figure out where we're going to go. Summers here are like winters in Chicago. But we are in the process, by the way, of selling our home in Chicago. We live in the heart of the city, and we're selling that home. So Orlando, and specifically Winter Park, will become our permanent residence going forward. In any case, one of the distinguishing attributes that Orlando, Central Florida, had for Sue and me was the fact that there's this very strong performing arts community. The ballet, which is extraordinary, the Phil, which is unbelievable, and I also mentioned Opera Orlando. Sue and I have become heavily involved with that, and I don't know that Gabe is here, but if he is, Gabe is doing a fantastic job. There he is. He likes to travel incognito. In any case, for Sue and me, arts define life. A strong art scene defines the quality of life for everyone who lives within that community. And that was, as I said, very important for Sue and me as we were determining where we were going to settle, at least during the winter months. Well, I'm glad to say we haven't been disappointed. The ballet's progress has been phenomenal. I'll tell you a little story about the ballet that Sue and I relish. It was 5 or 6 years ago. It was a Saturday night. We had nothing on our social calendar. It's not surprising. It's surprising that we didn't know anybody here. But we noticed that the ballet was performing that night at Disney. We had never been to Disney, nor had we ever seen the Orlando Ballet. Now, we are accustomed in Chicago, one of the great ballet companies in the entire country, if not the world, is the Joffrey. I'm sure you've all heard of it. God only knows how many performances of the Joffrey we had seen over the years. So we went to this performance, the Orlando Ballet, kind of with our noses up, snooty, thinking, well, this will be the minor leagues, but we like the music and we'll see how well they dance. I have to give credit to Robert Hill. He did a wonderful job of choreographing Romeo and Juliet. The music is wonderful, and the dancing was phenomenal. Ladies, this preceded you. And we instantly became the Orlando Ballet buffs, if you will. But the hook hadn't been set yet. A couple of weeks later, we were at a social function, and we happened to bump into a fellow named Jonathan Ledden. You all know Jonathan, of course. And Jonathan and I ended up talking for 45 minutes. We had some commonalities. We're both from Chicago. We both love ballet and the arts and so on and so forth. And Jonathan, he saw a big fish that he could hook. He asked the right questions, and he said, hey, why don't we have lunch in a couple of weeks and we can talk about this further? I said, fine, as long as you buy. And so he managed in that 2-hour lunch to set, if you're a fisherman, I'm not, but I understand the term is you set the hook. So he set that hook, it's right in here, and I just can't spit it out. Anyway, as Jonathan said in his remarks, generosity on the part of the community is critically important to sustain the ballet, the phil, the opera, and the other important cultural organizations in this city. And we're standing here today really in front of a monument that was built by someone who clearly understood that and was outrageously generous, and of course I'm talking about Harriet Lake. And more recently, the Lettons came along, and Jonathan and Krista have been phenomenally generous to the Orlando Ballet and to the arts community here in Orlando. And many of you also, I know, have been very generous to the ballet. So this magnificent building, which is now home for the Orlando Ballet, and by the way, if you've visited ballet studios across this country, you will find none. I have visited many. You will find none that are superior to this, and maybe 2% that might be comparable to this beautiful home that was really the result of a gift from Harriet and many of you, of course, more recently the Lettons. So it's a pleasure for Sue and me to be following up in those footsteps. In addition to our love, and we love the ballet, by the way, Sue and I love the ballet. You got that? L-O-V-E in capital letters, flashing lights. We also love the Orlando Phil. We've been heavily involved with the Phil for almost the same period of time that we've been involved with the ballet. A fabulous organization, wonderful musicians, a great management team now, and Sue and I are so excited to be heavily involved with the Phil also. So, when we were given the opportunity recently to support both of our favorite organizations, it was a no-brainer. It's possibly one of the easiest decisions, probably the easiest decision that I've ever had to make. I mean, how can you go wrong? The ballet, the Phil, Giselle, I mean, really, Jordan Morris, and Lisa, I mean, how does it get any better? So that was a real tough sales job on Cheryl's part and Jonathan's part. They worked feverishly for about 3.5 minutes. Sue and I just looked at one another and we smiled and we shook our heads and said, this is it. They roped us in and we love it. So anyway, it's a real pleasure for Sue and me to support these two organizations that we love so dearly. And we're selfish. We're doing this in part because we love the ballet, we love the Phil, and to be able to see the two of them perform together will be a dream come true. But we also look at it as an opportunity for us to provide a performance for the entire metropolitan Orlando community, Central Florida community. We are certainly hopeful that the performances are sold out and that many of the people who will be attending those performances may be attending for the first time in their lives, the first time in their lives that they will have attended a ballet. What better opportunity than Giselle? So for Sue and me to be able to support this joint endeavor led by the ballet is not only personally satisfying, but we also look at it as a real benefit for the greater Orlando community. So in closing, I'd like to just say on behalf of Sue and myself, first of all, thank you to all of you for your generous support of the ballet over however many years. It's been incredibly important to not only sustain, but to enable the ballet and the Phil, of course, and the opera, of course, to continue to grow and establish themselves within this community and add to the richness of life in the greater Orlando area. So hats off to all of you. Sue and I are delighted to be a part of this, and we look forward to Giselle, many more performances by the ballet, and of course the Phil. Thanks very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Paul Helfrich. I'm Executive Director of the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra. Larry, this may be a surprise to you, but I was not actually a dancer either. I was actually a tuba player, which may be somewhat easier to believe, because that part's true. But I want to begin by just thanking Larry and Sue Costin for everything you do for the arts in our community. As you've all heard, Larry and Sue are great friends of the Phil as well as the Orlando Ballet. They give generously, they make the community a better place, they help provide experiences all of us benefit from, but they do it in a very thoughtful way. They ask tough questions, they set high standards, and all of us benefit from that. And speaking of that, I also want to mention how honored I am to be here at this podium. In the audience, three women who really helped make the Philharmonic what it is. Our board president, Melody Lynch, and past presidents, R.K. Kelly and Mary Palmer. And talking about high standards, those three ladies have set them for the Phil. We try to live up to them every single day. We are so excited about this collaboration, and we're honored to be part of it. We're so grateful to be joining Orlando Ballet. We feel very strongly that we have so much in common with Opera Orlando and with Orlando Ballet. All three of us are organizations that have roots in European traditions, but that also now include and celebrate many other voices and traditions in the work that we do. But one thing that is common to both of us, all three of us really, is that we celebrate and invest in professional artists, professional musicians, dancers, and singers, people who have chosen to make it their profession, to pursue their art to the very highest level. And these are people whose talents must be nurtured, and they must have a place where they can rise to the very highest point. And philanthropists, again, like Larry and Sue, really make that possible, and I'm just so honored to be part of that. I just want to say on behalf of the Phil, Jordan, Lisa, Jonathan, Cheryl, we are so looking forward to working with you. We're looking forward to being in Steinmetz Hall. Wow, what a long time coming it has been. This is going to be a collaboration and a series of performances that you won't want to miss, and I echo Larry's sentiments. Let's see every seat filled for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Thank you all so much.
So I get the good part to close us out. Thanks to each and every one of you for taking the time to be here today and celebrate this momentous occasion. We all know it has been a very long road to get to this place on all our parts for many, many reasons. One of the favorite moments I've had in my time here, which is approaching 5 years, cannot believe, was Harriet's statement. Who will take the torch when I am gone? Well, the first ones to pick it up were Krista and Jonathan. Many, many of you have also have supported us, but it takes really dedicated leadership to turn a ship, and boy did this ship have to turn around, and it has done so very, very well. They're followed, of course, by Larry and Sue, and this is the new tradition. Orlando is still a place that welcomes newcomers, gives them a seat at the table if they wish to lean in and make change for the good of the community, and of that we should all be very, very proud. So, the gauntlet has been passed. We are now guardians of the legacy. We're at 48 years, approaching 50, and setting the trajectory for the next 50. And so we have a moment in history what I'd like, got to do my housekeeping. The box office is open. Jonathan mentioned that. Giselle is officially on sale to the public as of 10 a.m. this morning. So if we can help you out there, we're happy to do so. We'll also be here tonight for Uncorked, which is a very different kind of presentation that all of you are welcome to come to. And finally, let's mark this moment in history. If everyone would come up here and turn in this arc, we want to get a photograph to commemorate this day together. Thank you all for coming.